Welcome back to the Dark Reading News Desk at Black Hat USA. Terry Sweeney here with Dark Reading, and joining us now on the news desk is Jim Ivers, Vice President of Synopsys Software Integrity Group. Jim is joined by his colleague Natasha Gupta, Senior Security Solutions Manager, also with the Synopsys Software Integrity Group. Jim and Natasha, thank you so much for joining us on the news desk today.
Glad to be here.
Appreciate it. We are talking about application security consolidation. And Jim, kick us off with enumerating some of the biggest challenges that companies face today with their application security programs.
Sure. Well, all you have to do is go into the business hall and you see the challenge. We did a survey, and over 70% of the customers have over 10 application security testing tools. And that's just not about licensing costs. That's about support costs. That's about training developers how to use UIs. There's all sorts of expenses that go on that. So it's not just licensing, it's total cost of ownership that's dragging down the organization. Plus, you have all of these findings that are coming in, which affects creates friction in DevOps.
Okay. This sounds like a classic, the tension between the Swiss Army knife and the highly specialized tool that does one thing very well. Is that an accurate analogy?
It is, and that's one of the things I think that sets us apart is a lot of our competitors have one really good tool and the rest are sort of add-ons. I call it like being a planet with moons. We think we're a solar system. We think we have really good best-of-breed tools all the way around. We've been the top right in the Gartner Magic Quadrant now, toppiest rightiest, for 5 years, and we think there's a reason for that.
Well, Natasha, I think that's your cue to talk about the solar system. What are companies doing to try to help and solve these problems?
Well, what we hear from customers all the time is, I want to be able to simplify my security work. I want to have one place to get visibility of my whole software risk.
Okay.
And at large, I want to be able to manage just one vendor instead of having my time eaten up in multiple tools. And really, this gets back to so much what Jim is talking about with consolidation, the consolidation of your effort in creating a frictionless AppSec experience across all of the silos you have across security and development, and really consolidating also on a centralized sense of insight on that total risk posture across your software.
Okay. Talk about what security professionals should look for in a consolidation partner. And I'm also curious the role of like the development side of the house, because they're not always well connected, as we know from hard experience. But say more about that if you would.
Well, it sounds a bit counterintuitive, but actually the most important part of evaluating consolidation partners is, do they have flexibility to work with what you have? And really, meshing the developer experience with the security experience is about working with the developer tools that they already use every single day and meshing that data across all of the security testing you do with the feedback systems that developers have. And that really is the fabric of what creates a very simplified application security program across the board. So you have to have that usability. You have to evaluate that level of vision from an application security vendor that understands and has connectivity to these key data sources across testing, across what software you own and what makes up that software, to get the whole picture and really make this all marry together well.
Sure. I mean, we're talking about technical consolidation, but it sounds like what you're describing is also cultural consolidation. Well, maybe not consolidation, but certainly closer integration of security and devs, right?
Well, what we often find is the technical foundation is what creates the culture shift. And It's really about making this all workable for the developers day to day and simplifying their work. That's what we hear across the board.
Thanks. Jim, what is Synopsys doing to help companies reduce risk through this consolidation?
Well, we have a very interesting tool. It's called Software Risk Manager. And what it allows you to do, it speaks to over 135 different feeds of AST type findings. And what it allows you to do is to consolidate first sort of virtually by orchestrating your tasks, applying policy, and correlating and prioritizing the findings from those tools within Software Risk Manager. Because one of the goals of consolidation is, as Natasha said, is that, that single version of truth, that what is that system of record. And we can create that. So that's an interesting twist on this, because in most cases you don't get that until 18 months, 3 years down the road of a consolidation project. We can offer that to you immediately. And then what you can do is start to swap out the testing tools as your contracts start to expire and things like that. So it gives you much more flexibility and much more pliability in the whole process of consolidation.
Application security posture management, aka ASPM, obviously plays a role here. Natasha, can you say more for those who may be new to the term and what it brings to the table here?
Well, Gartner identified this trend, application security posture management, which was really the evolution of a lot of interlocking trends we saw within application security of risk management, application security testing. But really what it gets to, and specifically with consolidation, is combining the ingredients of what makes the good AppSec happy meal. Having a way to integrate policies that you can be able to enforce a consistent security playbook across wherever your source code is built, being able to then orchestrate testing workflows and remediation actions, and getting that central risk insight from a single source of truth that you understand what was tested, what was fixed, what was found, having one place that all of your stakeholders can go, and in a contained solution. That's really what a good application security posture management solution buys you.
Jim, help us take a deeper cut, if you would, and address how ASPM helps companies maximize their benefits of consolidation.
Well, it's really we call it the Rosetta Stone, right? Okay. It's like a translation, because you plug in what you already have and you continue to use that. You centralize your policies and you apply them through the orchestration process. As you're moving new testing tools in from the consolidated vendor, it makes it a much more seamless process, because you are changing the tires on the car while it's roaring down the road. The best part about that is that we have a very open solution, as Natasha said. So if you have a specific testing tool that is outside what your consolidation vendor can provide, that is required for some form of regulatory requirements, whatever you have, you can continue to keep that, because we can also assimilate those findings into the process. But this notion of getting everything in, prioritizing, and answering the question that really dogs developers the most: what do I fix first?
Sure.
And that really starts to end the process. As you start to swap out the tools, you eliminate them, your contracts drop off. This gives you a staggered process by which you then end up with the consolidation, everything consolidated. You're down to one vendor, and you get that total cost of ownership savings. But because of the way we deliver it, you get a lot of those questions answered much earlier. So your time to value is a lot earlier in the process.
I'm sure you get this question a lot from certainly Black Hat attendees, but potential customers and existing customers. If I'm on the fence about application consolidation, what sorts of questions should I be asking myself? What issues are top of mind that I can be thinking about as I decide if this is right for me?
You know, application security has changed dramatically in the last 5 years. It's gone from, hey, I need, to find everything. Nothing can be left unturned. No false positives, all those things. Now it's good enough, because as I always explain to people, developers don't get paid to write secure code. They get paid to write things on time. So the fact that you can get in and do that, what was tested, what was found, and what was fixed, and answer that question, really starts to remove that eternal tension between application security testing and DevOps velocity. And so if velocity is what you're after, and that's what's driving a lot of the decisions that are being made on the floor today, this is the answer to that process. It allows you to do the testing you need to ensure that you've got trust in your software, because every company is a software company now, right? So that means that software risk is business risk. In order to do that properly, if you consolidate, you're not deluged by all these findings, you don't get conflicting results, you're running them all through the same cohesive set of policy. It's a much better running machine.
Right. Well, Jim and Natasha, some great insights on application security consolidation. Thank you both for joining us on the Dark Reading News Desk today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We've been talking with Jim Ivers and Natasha Gupta of Synopsys. This has been Terry Sweeney for the Dark Reading News Desk. Thanks for joining us for this segment. We'll see you next time.